are Omoba into the English Premiership. That's Omo meet Arsenal Football Club. Omo records and Omo starts 8 year Edema Arsenal Football Club. DIABY, in the last games, the side of Arsenal Football Club, Betima hosting, the newly promoted side of Betima into the English Premiership. They've been able to have a solid start against most of these clubs, especially with Leeds United. In the last 14 games from ABOU Leeds United, Arsenal has been able to win close to about 12 games, just a draw and just a defeat. And of course, the Arsenal Football Club. May the picture be my production. So, meet me at so, we're checking most of these football clubs, or may use the kind of newly promoted clubs in their home games. It is Arsenal and it's me having most of that particular wins or home games. Chelsea ever 43 games are about, and then none of these newly promoted sides in it me winning against it in those kind of home games about. And that unbeaten run shall say in November 2001. Arsenal are coming back with 42 games almost in September 11th. Then you talk about Manchester City are almost on with 41 games since August 2007. And you talk about Manchester United since January 2002, unbeaten runs against newly promoted side of mobile in their home matches. But Arsenal sounds to becoming that kind of history being in February 1995 when they were able to play most of these newly promoted sides of the English Premiership. They were able to make sure so in unbeaten run meeting against these newly promoted sides might extended that kind of duration. And Liverpool Football Club was also able to have close to about 30 unbeaten runs in May 2011. So it tells you, say, currently as you speak, when you are talking about most of these football clubs or meeting Arsenal or that kind of newly promoted side is the English Premiership. Arsenal Football Club is actually doing that kind of wonders at Ewohon. So it tells you, say, meeting against Leeds United in the last 14 games, Arsenal close to about 11 solid wins, just a draw, and making sure so lose close to about 2 games now. It is telling us Arsenal was total dominance over Leeds United at this particular moment in time. Then you talk about Arsenal for starting level bit against Leeds United. Mikel Arteta atiki upon himself said, whatever being the case, or on the first starting level now, whatever being the case, but with Arsenal Football Club. So we'll check it with Arsenal. Closely enough, Lewis Kelly can easily play for the side of Arsenal Football Club in the left fullback position for Arsenal. Gabriel Magalhaes in the left centre back, then William Saliba in the right fullback position, in the right centre back position for Arsenal, and then Jerome Timber in the right fullback position for Arsenal Football Club. In Finfi Hono will be that kind of person in the focal point as a deep line playmaker. Obetimaya Niamadiama Arsenal Football Club. Matt Martins will be made the prominent. So we'll check it in the heat map of Martins Zubimendi. If so was Osia Kindema Arsenal Football Club. That was the first game that he played against Manchester United. He was able to have most of the heat map in the midfield. So passing any other midfielder which not pitch so Edema, even both Arsenal Football Club and even Manchester United. It tells you say that defensive tackles, that's offensive orientation and that kind of neutralization now Mikel Arteta wants him to do. And wants him to be better, even more than Thomas Partey in that central midfield. Martins Zubimendi is doing that kind of job for Arsenal Football Club. Obe partner with Declan Rice as that traditional number 8 in that particular midfield, and then Martin Odegaard able lead the attacking side, or be making sure say Unya Declan Rice now so or passing most of these offensive balls. Edema Declan Rice, they are two into the attacking front of Arsenal Football Club. The way to me trigger that particular press will be Martin Odegaard, a smooth breaking line passes into the attacking third. So when you have Victor Gyökeres, now when you have Bukayo Saka, maybe when you have Gabriel Martinelli or no in the left hand side of Arsenal Football Club, they can easily score a lot of goals against Leeds United. So we'll check Leeds United. In their first game, they had a wonderful game in their first game, meeting against Arsenal Football Club. The entire Mikel Arteta also winning against Leeds United, and they say checking about a number of points also what the free Leeds United when it comes to historic games when you're against Leeds United, Arsenal dominating. And there again, the side of Manchester City every in the first game, Chelsea Football Club able draw within their first game, most second game winning. So we'll check Liverpool Super Bowl second game, hoping to win in a continuous winning streak. Arsenal Mikel Arteta will have to win this game against Leeds United because this season, now, Obia Elbo Arsenal for Abasu with the side of Andrea Beta as the sporting director for Arsenal Football Club said with the newly signed Somitimania Ediama Arsenal Football Club in the shape of Victor Gyökeres, who was that kind of player? No, Obodoma Sporting Lisbon, or share a lot of goals. No, Omu Hopi said with that requisite of that particular striking role idea, Victor Gyökeres, no, coming to Arsenal, he can easily score a lot of goals for Arsenal to win this particular English Premiership this particular season. I'm hoping that Arsenal able to make a winning on the game against the side of Leeds United over 2.5 and a solid win for Arsenal Football Club. No about Manchester United in the Fulham game. So, Ruben Amorim, it is obvious. Says I will check in the number of players that this season Manchester United assigned the Amana. Manchester United are making it clear. Ruben Amorim said, even with the facts who lose against Arsenal Football Club in the first competitive game on board in the English Premiership, almost second game on board against Fulham Football Club. Meaning actually say Manchester United by hook or crook in the side of Ruben Amorim. There was a Oshe against the side of Fulham Football Club. DIABY, so we're in the last 98 games, Manchester United ABOU against the Fulham Football Club. Fulham, and as Manchester United has been able to win 58 and then 20 draws and then 16 defeats per and Akum for that last 98 games of Manchester United. It's in Enya against Fulham Football Club. It tells you, say, in terms of total dominancy, so who will be any nation as a Manchester United, but any other football club. Fulham is not that kind of club. I met my culture say, per the history and per the games of ball against Manchester United, no. And we beat me Abco Editia Manchester United. But then in the last 10 games of Manchester United, Abco Editia Fulham Football Club, no. Manchester was just 8 wins, almost 1 draw, and then 1 drop and a 1 defeat per. And of course, with Manchester United, it tells you say even with their last 10 games, they are even making sure some more dominating against Fulham Football Club. Manchester United is a must-win against Fulham Football Club because of what they can be able, because of what Ruben Amorim has promised the supporters this season. Say this season, at least in the first top 4 there, there was a Manchester United. It's becoming close within the top 4. Not with me participating in the Champions League next season. In terms of European competition, Manchester United ain't even competing. But then when it comes to the English Premiership, there was so much Bobre, and even with the FA Cup and the League Cup, there was so much Bobre, no making sure that they can easily compete at the highest level. But they be problematic at Manchester United. Now we saw Manolo Gatti, the kind of loose balls, and most of the loose possessions are when Manchester United meeting against Arsenal Football Club. And one midfield solid when they met the side of Arsenal Football Club. Casemiro, in a way, can easily come in and show his experience level, but with the tension of the English Premiership and with the kind of games Casemiro about Manchester United, clearly it tells you that with the shape, Casemiro mount that kind of good quality midfield shape about Manchester United currently as we speak. So be a case a couple many effects. That's what makes them feel for Manchester United that at least he should even command the first starting lineup even ahead of Manolo Gatti, looking at the kind of games Manolo Gatti about Manchester United, and supposedly the kind of game of against the side of Arsenal Football Club when to me the best of that particular game and Olusu a lot of balls within the midfield for the side of Manchester United. But I will check it attacking front of Manchester United Brian Mbeumo a lot of these attackers from Manchester United anymore. It is telling you, say, even when they played against Arsenal, they made a lot of shot on goals on target. Manchester United, but then they were not able to channel most of these shot on target into the goalpost of Arsenal Football Club. Meeting against Fulham, it is a must-win for these attackers. Bruno Fernandes and then Brian Mbeumo and then Matheus Cunha Muji anymore on the side of Manchester United. It is a must-win for Manchester United. And then it will be over 2.5 and a win for Manchester United. DIABY, so going to the Spanish La Liga, Real Madrid Football Club against Real Oviedo. It is quite obvious. So we'll check it the last time a Real Madrid Football Club a meeting against Real Oviedo. It was somehow in 2002. So since 2002 up to 2025, this will be the first official match Real Madrid Football Club will be meeting against Real Oviedo. It tells you it has been a long while. But in the last games of Real Oviedo team against Real Madrid Football Club, it has not been a match for the side of Real Madrid Football Club. Oma dominated against Real Oviedo in most of the matches. Even in 2002 November, Mombeki, that kind of case, it was a Copa del Rey, and then the side of Real Madrid Football Club Eshomo by 2 goals to 0. It tells you even in most of these competitions, aside Spanish La Liga, Real Oviedo in the last 2002. they've been able to make sure some meeting in any other competitions are Real Oviedo in that particular form. But I want to check Real Madrid currently as a speaker. Madrid, Xabi Alonso, any tactical identity for Real Madrid Football Club. Sometimes he plays the 4-3-3, sometimes to about the 3 back, on board the 4-man midfield, about the 3 attackers away in him. But we've been able to see the side of Real Madrid Football Club, Xabi Alonso, when he played against Osasuna, a particular football club on board the low block, essentially about the mid block. Real Madrid Football Club possessed a lot of the balls, and they were able to channel most of these chances into the attacking third. But because Osasuna, a typical low block, Real Madrid Football Club find it difficult to also find the back of that particular net. So I'm quite penalty now. Kylian Mbappe at the 2-netted Real Madrid Football Club now. A Madrid would have ended that particular game in a draw game, meeting against Osasuna. Real Oviedo is a typical example of Osasuna. Almost the typical low blocks, also the typical mid block. I can say that low class clubs now was managed La Liga. So most big clubs are. The only thing that they can do is to play the low block and sometimes the mid block. Because on the low block now, they want to get at least a secured 1 point from these big clubs in the Spanish La Liga. And that same game method now, Xabi Alonso used against Osasuna. So Kwako uses that same method against Real Oviedo. It will be a good befitting factor for Real Madrid Football Club. Real Oviedo, the low block, but sometimes they will also catch on the counter-breaking system into the attacking side. When they were playing in the Spanish La Liga too, they were able to score close to about 70 goals on Mutimi Air competing as also qualify in the Spanish La Liga. Or attackers number one in last season. So here the combination of goals on Moshe, they score close to about 45 goals for the side of Real Oviedo. It tells you, say, the little chance to be a Real Oviedo into the attacking side of Real Madrid Football Club, they can easily score that number of goals. But notwithstanding, so what checking Real Madrid Football Club, the number of goals and even the number of games considering last season, Carlo Ancelotti exception of Kylian Mbappe, no more that number of accuracy of goals at Real Madrid Football Club. So we need him at any moment given an opportunity in the attacking side. He can easily be that kind of player which matches that goals. Other goalie will be as a typical creativa, who will be giving them the breaking line passes for Real Madrid Football Club into the attacking third. Vinicius Jr. in the left flanks will try as much as possible to trigger the press for the side of Kylian Mbappe to become a force number 9 in the attacking side for Real Madrid Football Club. Xabi Alonso is a must-win against Real Oviedo, over 2.5, and a win for Real Madrid Football Club. Then you talk about the side of Barcelona and Levante. In the last 14 games, Barca ABOU against Levante in the Valencian Community Biano. In the last 14 games, Barca has been able to win 13 games, and then they've just drawn just 1 game against the Valencian Community clubs. It tells Barca also a total dominance against these Valencian Community clubs. But as I will check Levante, the last time we secure a point against FC Barcelona, it was 2019. At that time, no coach, your friend said Lopez Paco was that coach for the side of Levante, and then Ernesto Valverde was the coach for FC Barcelona, and they were able to beat Barcelona by 3-1. And it tells you, say, within that moment of time, Levante share Barcelona, apart from 2019, almost share Barcelona by 3-1. Anytime we are Barca able to make sure right from that 2019, they've been able to have a consistency performance and a win for the side of FC Barcelona. Hans Flick, I clear said in this particular season, although the La Liga last season, but this season, looking at the matches in their first 5 matches, Barcelona can easily get at least 15 points or 20 points from the first 5 matches. It tells you, say, the side of Hans Flick is preparing FC Barcelona to win most of that particular game in the Spanish La Liga, even with the preseason. You see, the other in the preseason, it can easily lead you into your league competition. Even the preseason, Barcelona was able to score a huge number of goals. In the first league they scored that number of goals against that particular football club. And meeting against the Sao Levante, I expect Hans Flick to score over 1.5 and a win for FC Barcelona.
But yeah, the Embrafi, making kind messages in a kakrana. Yeah, on Facebook,